can we start by, I suppose, I'm guessing you're in the business, but can you give me the kind of brief rundown of, for those that don't know, your kind of business portfolio that you have going on there?
Sure, yeah. So we're based up in the northeast here in Drogheda. So it's Scholars Townhouse Hotel. It's an old boutique hotel. It was built in 18.
Yeah.
So a very old building. We have 16 bedrooms, fine dining restaurant, more quality dining now. I kind of don't like the word fine dining anymore. I think the thing of the past. But and we've a gastro lounge as well. And then we have Peggy Moore's pub, which is actually very close to the building. It's only about 30 metres across the road. We've 48 beds up there. It's a backpacker style accommodation and really old world pub. It's a grocer, has so much going on there. And that was built in 1908. So we took that on back in just 2019. It was the second flat kill that we had in Drogheda. The opportunity came up and we took that on then. And we're heading on to a third venue across the road from Peggy. So talking about, working away on your own doorstep. We've three located very close together, but all three very different models as well.
And what's can you tell us anything about the new venture or
yeah, sure thing. So it's going to be called Sunday Street. So it's formerly Dolan's pub at one stage, and that goes all the way back again to a similar time to Peggy Moore's early 1900s, 1908 kind of thing. And again, John Dolan was mayor of Drogheda for a long time, very well respected figure. So we're going to try and unveil some of that old history. But the place itself is going to be more like a mid-century modern boutique accommodation, again with 12 bedrooms going upstairs, pizzeria, small plates, function room on one side, and a lovely cafe to the front. And the cafe used to be leased out. It was actually a hair salon called Geraldine's. So there's a lot of nostalgia with the local area, people getting their hair cut since they were very, very young. And when Geraldine was the last tenant in that building there. So we're going to keep the name Geraldine's for that part of it.
Deadly.
We're getting old, the old hair dryers and that kind of thing around the place. And it'll be a little bit different anyway. But three different businesses all together, very close proximity from each other. But they were both buildings that were in disrepair. And we've taken them on, and I think we've regenerated that part of town.
Deadly. When you look at like you said, there's quite a bit of diversity within what you do there, from accommodation to cafe and food and stuff. Is there any, I suppose, is some of the business maybe more easier to run, more profitable, more lucrative, or like how would you break down the kind of different aspects of the business?
Sure, like Scholars is a 3-star hotel, and that's down to the criteria of the size of the bedrooms.
Yeah.
Walk through the building, you can see it's amazing. Oak panelled walls. The service is 5-star for sure. The food is 5-star. It's a very, very high level. It's not as profitable at all. It's very, very challenging. So very, very small margins. Very high labour costs. So I mean, our labour cost is up over 40% here in Scholars, which is ginormous.
Wow.
In college, I actually went back to college there recently enough, and they're kind of still teaching kids that it should be around 20% labour costs. And I'd love to know how they figure the serious challenge, especially with the kitchen brigade that we have here. Very highly skilled kitchen and highly skilled service. But we built that animal 20 years ago, and I suppose we tried to keep it going as best we could, and we had to find different ways of pivoting and trying to make it work for us. And we have made it work, but this is nearly the flagship. All the training and everything that we do from a service and food point of view will come through here, although it's low profit. It's definitely higher profit in the likes of Peggy's because it's less labour intensive. The food is more street food. There's higher margin on burgers and chips, I suppose. And the accommodation again is nearly Ryanair style. It's like hostel, very, very well laid out hostel. But it is, it's dorm style accommodation, and it is shared accommodation. So it's you get a room there or a bed for 45, 50 quid, whereas you pay 200 here for a room in Scholars, And with the new place, then I suppose that'll be mid-market, and it's going to be along the lines of pizza and small plates. And I've been doing a huge amount of research recently, and it's more casual, it's more accessible, kind of for the consumer. It's more accessible. smaller plates and more casual. I just think it works a lot better in the current environment. Hopefully it'll be less labour intensive as well. Be very enjoyable though, and really looking forward to that. So that'll be open in about 6 or 7 weeks. All going well.
Well, deadly. I'm going to do the worst segue of all time here now. You mentioned Ryanair. I seen O'Leary came out recently and had an article basically saying that all hospitality people need to grow up or going giving out about the VAT. You're very vocal about the VAT the last couple of months. I know even you're attending the march, I think, up in Dublin next week. Can I get your thoughts? I suppose as someone that is in the restaurant business, Michael O'Leary's not. Yeah. What's your thoughts on the VAT?
Look, Michael O'Leary, it's hard to argue with that man. I mean, he's a genius in terms of what he's done and what he's done for accessibility around Europe and everything else. He's phenomenal. But I think you should remember that one of the main reasons people come to Ireland is because of the amazing food service we have, and the standard of food is at a pretty high level. So if that was gone, I don't know how many tourists you would have flying into the country. Might have a bit of an impact with that. So he maybe should really look at how we went about that. But anyway, how do I feel about it? I'm very disappointed. I'm hugely disappointed in the government. I'd actually be a member of Fine Gael Party myself, and I've no problem disclosing that. I've always been very proud of what they've done, but I think recently they've really let business people down in terms of the support that they're given. Like that last budget, they didn't mention hospitality once within the whole budget speech. We had an independent report done from BDO that we had sent into every single minister's desk. Whether they read it or not is another thing, but the stats were startling in terms of the amount of closures. 620 closures since the last budget. They might turn around and say there was the similar amount have opened.
Yeah.
Those statistics that they have don't include the likes of sole traders that have closed, so they wouldn't be those stats wouldn't even get into the CSO. So there's a hell of a lot more. We're just talking about membership that have gone under since then. But it's the reason we want this is very, very clear. First of all, if you benchmark against the rest of Europe and you're looking at VAT rates, we're the 7th highest in the European Union. You know what I mean? Like it's enormous. And the fact that we're so labour intensive and we're trying to attain that living wage, and we all want a really good wage. We want to deliver a good wage for our staff, and very few staff in the industry are actually coming in on minimum wage, believe it or not. It's more along the lines of the veteran staff that need to go up once the minimum wage comes in. So I mean, if I have a kitchen porter now starting, like a full-time kitchen porter on minimum coming into the industry with no is on 28 grand a year now.
Wow.
Like 28,000. It's an enormous figure. Yes, it's all relative. It's got to do with the cost of living and everything else. But if I have a kitchen porter on 28, well then what about the kitchen porter that's there for 4 or 5 years? He has to be on 32, 33.
Yeah.
And that domino
that goes up
kicks.
The
That's
chain.
why we're sitting here in a 40% labour cost. And I'd ask you to ask Mr. O'Leary what his labour cost is in Ryanair. He said something along the lines that we'll pocket the money that 4.5%. I tell you, I'd love to be in a position to be able to pocket a few extra bob.
Yeah.
Because an entrepreneur like he is, and I think that should be the spirit of an entrepreneurship, that there is more money involved, but it's simply not the fact. Any of that 4.5% is going back into capital expenditure within our businesses. It's going into paying our staff more money and retaining staff. It's going into general food costs and survival. You know, so that's why businesses are closing. It's not to pocket money, you know.
Yeah. I seen, obviously there was lots of you mentioned something there about, there was a lot of commentary about kind of people who were saying about, well, yes, there's lots closing but lots opening. I don't really go along with that too much, but there was also a lot of commentary on people who were saying, well, what about if you split the VAT rate and maybe had a separate one for hotels and accommodation? I don't know if you're involved in both sides of it. Is that something that you think would have been a good idea?
A decoupling of the VAT rate would be very good. So, as I said beforehand, it's a highly labour-intensive business, but the rooms are not so much.
Yeah.
So, like that, I've plenty of money coming in through bedrooms, and I'm no fear in admitting that. But that's keeping my business going.
Yeah.
You know, and I only have 16 of them, so you can only imagine the larger hotels with 100 bedrooms, the profits that those guys are making on rooms. But when it comes down to when it comes down to food service, I can see where they'll struggle. And what we need here is a business model that is viable and sustainable. And it's not viable at that current VAT rate. And that's the reason that we really need to bring it down. And we've a march on Tuesday. I don't know if you've seen it in social media.
Yeah.
So we're heading in and we're expecting about 3,000-4,000 hospitality staff are going to be there. The vintners are involved now as well, from what I've heard. We've got speakers on the day. I think Ivan Yates is going to be MC and a few other people. So it'll be, it's going to be a very well organised, well structured march, very peaceful, and be a nice day out for hospitality staff as well. Maybe to chat, and who knows, we'll even spend a few bob in Dublin afterwards. We might go for a pint, but all in good spirit. And but at the same time, we're angry, we're upset. It's the first time that we've had a march in, like, I'm in the Restaurant Association probably about 10 or 15 years. I was the president of it for 3 years, and we never spoke about actually taking to the streets, and that's how serious it is now.
Yeah. I'm going to go full on journalist with you here now for a second.
No problem.
I hope I don't catch you out here. So you had I think it was a tweet.
Yeah.
All that will remain will be boring hotels and restaurants and chain restaurants. You made up if the VAT doesn't drop down to 9%.
Yeah.
Can you probably, I suppose,
sure.
people that don't get the
looking at the monstrosity hotels, like, and what are they doing now? All they're doing is kind of delivering a quick turnaround. You pop into a hotel and you're just looking for a bed for the night. That's what I mean by a boring hotel. Very few of them are putting on really, really good food service experiences downstairs. It's more room led. And then when it comes to the restaurants, I suppose, well, it's maybe that tweet doesn't really reflect what's actually happening at the moment, because I know over in the UK, TGI's just 35 restaurants over there closing. Hopefully that doesn't filter over here.
Yeah.
S-Up Group are in big trouble.
Yeah.
The different chains that they have, the different franchises attached to the company, So that's a little scary in itself. But independent restaurants are definitely on the demise, and they're the ones that are suffering because there's so much money being pumped into the franchises through investment. So that's where I see it falling off, and that's why I would have said that, because that's what I can see happening just through my own membership, the colleagues that I have around, and seeing people that have been there for 20, 30 years. And what's really heartbreaking is the government's attitude of one closes, another opens. But sure, look at what it means to the local, like, that's in rural Ireland, maybe a cafe closing that has a connection to the people, and you've elderly maybe coming in and they're being looked after, and it's part of their daily routine.
Yeah.
It's like part of the culture is gone. It's dissipating. It's being diluted by chains, and even chain cafes coming in as well. I'm not going to mention names. There's a huge amount of them coming in, and people seem to be going off that way as well. Yes, there's a lot of independent coffee shops doing great work, but when you see all of the chains and so many of them opening up one by one, you know what I mean? It's hard to see. It's hard to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to maybe slightly more positive stuff, and I would love to chat about this all day long, but I sometimes get DMs and comments saying that I kind of talk too much about the negative stuff, so I'll go positive. In terms of you're obviously doing a lot, and a lot of innovation and open up a new place. Is there any restaurant out there, or food business, or even another business that you'd look at that you would admire, or you wish you started, or you like the look of?
I've done a little bit of research during the week there, and I went to a couple of really good places. Like, I love Sprezzatura in Dublin, really, really good. I love their homemade pasta dishes that they have, excellent place. We went to 777. We went to Amy Austin's as well. I think they're part of the same brand. Love what they're doing. So I had a good look around. I love it's the fact that we're going down the pizza route.
Yeah.
Pie stands out for me as something. PI stands out for me. Doom Slice. A lot of these guys are doing really, really good work in Dublin, and kind of they're the models that I see working. They're the ones with queues. Manny had deep fried lasagna. I never thought of deep fried lasagna. Something that I'll definitely copy and paste, I'd say. But because it's so good, and it's lovely, and it's a great sharing plate. It's something small. It's something unique. So yeah, a lot of research done around Dublin there the last while. And Dublin, I have to say, the other day when I went in and looking around, couldn't get enough of what was going on. There's so much amazing stuff happening there, and I mean, I've been to London, I've been to plenty. I've done food tours all over Europe, and Dublin really stands out at the moment for me as one of the best.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, especially with, as you said, with the pizza. You have. I was up in Manny last week's Deadly Bambino Pie. There's loads going on. Yeah, definitely. Right, let's finish up on this one, Mark. If that's okay, I really appreciate your time. What's the future for you? Where do you see yourself in the business in the next year, 2 years?
Well, we'll see how Sunday Street goes. This new venue that we're taking on, it's not just me, it's my brother as well. My folks are still involved in the business as well. So we'll see where that takes us. The kind of trio of business is really going to work because they're so close together. I think it's really important that you're able to keep an eye on things as well. Quality
Yeah,
control is very, very important for me. I place myself kind of on the path here in Scholars in the evening times. You can get sucked into so much administration kind of responsibilities, which is kind of takes you away from the business, I think, a little bit. But it's important now that we really focus, knuckle down on this third venue as well. And we're here and we're on site and we're able to see and manage it as best we can. And we'll see where it goes from there. But I think it's a marathon rather than a sprint. I don't want to start pushing forward or trying to look for anything else at the moment. I just want to get this one up and running, make sure it's sustainable, viable, staff are safe in their jobs and they're rewarded well for what they're doing. That's the goal, I suppose, for everyone, that we all do better out of it, you know?
yeah, totally. Mark, I could chat to you. I have loads of other thoughts popped into my head, but we'll have to.
Yeah,
I've agreed to time with you, so
yeah, no,
won't take any more. Thanks a million, Mark.
anytime. It's a pleasure chatting to you, and well done on everything you've been doing. I've been following you on LinkedIn. You're doing very well.
Thanks a million, man. Chat to you soon, Mark.